Hey guys, it's Scott with Scotty B Cards. This episode, I have Philmington back on the channel. Phil, say hi.
What's going on, Scotty? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so a month ago, on April 1st, the first day of the Major League Baseball season, we each spent $100 on at least 5 cards of 5 different players, and we were going to see a month later who had the better return. So I picked up 5 cards, Phil had 7, and we have the results right here ready to go. So Phil, do you want to just share your picks and what you actually purchased real fast?
Yeah, I picked a Byron Buxton 2015 Topps Heritage Action card. I picked a 2013 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor non-autograph Austin Meadows, a 2016 Topps Chrome Refractor Ketel Marte, a 2016 Topps Chrome Blue Refractor Auto of Jose Barrios. I picked up a Christian Yelich 2013 Topps Update Rookie in a PSA 8 grade. Kyle Tucker 2015 Bowman Draft Refractor, and a 2017 Topps Update Luis Castillo Gold Parallel.
Nice. And for me, by the way, that Buxton pick right off the bat, the viewers should know you made a lot of money on that because Buxton's been amazing. Okay, for me, I picked up a Vladimir Guerrero PSA 9 no number, his short print rookie from Series 2 of 2019. I have a Trevor Story 2016 Topps Update Flagship Gold Parallel, a Gavin Lux PSA 9 Topps Chrome rookie, a Giancarlo Stanton 2010 Topps Chrome rookie, and a Paul Goldschmidt Bowman Chrome 2011 rookie refractor. So I want to just dive into my cards real quick, and we will talk about my loss, my gain, and we'll see how I did, and then we'll talk about Phil after. So the very first one, I'm going to go with the worst cards first, just to get them out of the way. The first one is that Giancarlo Stanton Topps Chrome rookie. I paid $10 for it. And at the time, that was below comps. So I was feeling good. You know, I thought if Stanton could come out hot like he did in the playoffs last year, people would just buy because they're emotionally driven. But he started really slow. Right now, he's playing good, and the card's starting to move up from recent comps, but it's still below what I paid. Right now, the average sales around $7. So I lost 30%, only $3, but still it's a 30% loss on that Stanton. And then my next worst card, which turned out to be okay. And I haven't talked to Phil about this, but I'm going to take the liberty of doing this just because I think it's going to be a really tight race. But the Paul Goldschmidt Bowman Chrome Refractor, I bought that on eBay for $12, $12.99. And that card, the guy messaged me after and said, hey, this card has some surface scratches I didn't disclose. I feel really bad about it. Here's 2 of them. So he gave me 2 Bowman Chrome Refractors for that $12.99. And now those cards go for about $7, but I'll add them together and say I gained profit on that. So that's a 7% gain. And then the Gavin Lux, it was a PSA 9 Topps Chrome rookie card. That one I paid $18.29. The last 3 comps combined, I think, were 18, 18, and 25. It's about a $20 value, a 9.35% gain. And the big 2, I had a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. no number, like I shared earlier. That one I paid $42 for. The average sales around $83. That's a 97% gain. And the Trevor Story I bought for $16, and that sold for $33. That's a 106% gain for a total of 58% over the last month. So not bad, but let's look at Phil and see how he did.
Yeah, thanks. And by the way, that Vlad pick was awesome. I think that was that was kind of a card that maybe a lot of people were sitting on and trying to just break even and trying to, make a little bit of a gain. And so I think the market was flooded a little bit at first.
Yeah.
I don't know what the pop is on those 9s. 10s are close to 5,000, I believe. But that might be just one that takes a little bit longer to adjust to its true market value. We'll see, because I think that breakout's real. All right, starting with my picks. Let's start with the worst. Luis Castillo. As I said in the previous episode, allocating 20% to a budget is not smart. If I was giving anybody advice on a portfolio, $100 or larger, usually I would say, no more than 2 to 5% on pitching. And I did 20% on pitching, 2 of my 7 picks. But I was really trying to benefit from a hot start from someone, and I hit it on the next guy, just not on Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, extreme ground ball pitcher. They made some changes to the infield to get Jonathan India in there. Eugenio Suarez played shortstop, and that really hurt him a lot. Also, his fastball was down a couple ticks this year. Not too different from what he did in 2019, but from 2020, the fastball wasn't there, and the command so far has been a little spotty. So I got killed on this card. Paid $10.50. It's down to about $5. So that's a 52% loss. And actually the $5 comp that I saw was with no shipping included. So you can make an argument that it's actually worth less than that. Next card, Kyle Tucker, 2015 Bowman Chrome Refractor. This one I paid $14.99, bought it on ComC. sort of like that last card I needed to get me up to that $100 threshold. So I knew at the time I didn't probably pay the best price for it. I paid probably maybe higher side of market price for that. And this one is down 26%. So last three comps, which happened over the last week or two, I believe, it takes it to about $11.17. So that's a 26% loss again. Kyle Tucker, the risk that I had with him, or the fear that I had with him, kind of came to fruition in that he was overshadowed by a lot of the other bats on his team, but also he just wasn't that great. I mean, his average isn't that great. His power is okay, but nothing really off the charts. And a lot of people expected to break out from him this year. It's still 30 days. We'll see. Next card, Christian Yelich, PSA 8, 2013 Topps update. I paid $25.39. Average of the last couple comps, it is about $32.50 now, 28% gains. This is the guy that got injured, right? But I think maybe with PSA being shut down, maybe there's a higher demand for some of these slabbed cards, even though it wasn't a 10, it was an 8. And 2013 isn't really a mass-produced year compared to some of the more recent ones. So something I did, and something for the most part that Scotty did, something that I would certainly do if we were to do this contest for $500 or to do it longer than a period of 30 days, was to stay away from ultra modern cards for the most part. We didn't touch those. I know there are probably a couple with yours. One of yours was a short print though, Scotty. Yeah. And we had $100. So it's not like we'd be super specific with the cards that we picked up. But and for the most part, I stayed away from base cards as well. Christian Yelich was the only example of a time that I didn't. Also, I think that's something that would be best practice if you did this with more money. But yeah, 28% with that Yelich card, have a gain there. Next card, Ketel Marte, another guy that got injured. I paid $5.50 for this Topps Chrome Refractor rookie. And it did reach $20 at one point. I was able to sell it, but we're not counting those sales as part of this contest. And now though, it's about $9.50. So it's come down quite a bit, but that's still a 73% gain. And this is a guy that played 6 games. But I guess, the moral of the story is, like, sometimes, if the full body of work is a 1400 OPS, even if it's just 6 games, even if the guy has, he's made very little progress, if any, in returning with his hamstring injury, that was enough to boost up his prices. Maybe people realize, okay, we're going to probably see the 2019 Ketel Marte again, which is the same one we saw in spring training this year. High barrel rate, high exit velo. So I saw a gain there. Next one is Austin Meadows, 2013 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor, non-autograph. Here I paid $27.45. I was able to sell this I was able to sell it, and this is actually the only comp over the last month. So I had to kind of sell it in order to set the new market for it. And it was about 10 days ago for $60. So that's a gain of 119%. This is an example of, I think, often cards will sell for more at buy it now than they would in auction. Austin Meadows wasn't a guy that a lot of people had searches set up for. He also hasn't been that great this year. He's been okay. But I do think that, the right person was looking for that card. And with auctions, often people have them just listed for 7 days. It doesn't get as much exposure as a buy it now would for a more liquid card. Usually that's going to be the route that gives you the best price. Next up, Jose Barrios, 2016 Topps Chrome Blue Refractor Auto. I paid $11.50, and that is at about $48.33 now. So that's a gain of 320%. So Meadows was 119% gain. This is a 320% gain. So people are day trading cards now, like they're day trading stocks. People are overreacting to news, to recent performances. And the nice thing about somebody having a great start in April, it's just a few starts and people look at that overall stat line. They'll look at that ERA, the whip, they'll see that they're currently a top 10 or top 5 starting pitcher in the game, and they'll overreact on that. So if somebody has a really hot August or September, people aren't going to parse out those stats. They're going to look at the overall line. So that's not going to have as much weighting as the full line would. So ideally for cards, you want to have them get out the performances. You want these players to get out hot starts. And I think it's a little bit of an overreaction, but there have been a few sales over $40 now. And at that point, a lot of the times people just look at the most recent sales. And I think that's kind of helping the market, even though if it is a little overvalued now at around $48. Last card, like Scotty said, Byron Buxton. This is one I killed it on. This one I deserve to kill it on just based on what he's done. What does he have? Like a 440 batting average. He's got one of the top WARs based on Fangraphs and Baseball Reference in the American League. He's right up there with Mike Trout. This is a guy that plays above average defense, which certainly helps. 96 percentile sprint speed. He doesn't even running, but he doesn't need to. His WAR is so high. He's just hitting everything hard right now. He's got about 8 home runs. And this is a guy that I think people realize over the last couple of years that the power was starting to be realized, and that as long as he stayed healthy, he would be fairly productive. I don't know about this productive. I don't think anybody expected him to hit over 300, never mind 400 over a short sample size. But this is a card I paid $5.24 for, and the comps are all around $35 between 30 and 40, let's say 35. That's a gain of 568%. So that takes my total portfolio. I spent, I think, around $100.57 up to $201.49. That's 100.3% gain. And I will say that I think actually Scott, even though he was around 60%, I think I like his choices more, just because, hindsight's 2020, but looking back at the choices he made, he assumed a lot less risk than I did. I picked a ton of unproven guys, 20% pitchers. This is something I just did for the contest. It's not something that I would actually do or recommend for somebody in some sort of a short-term investment strategy, or especially a long-term investment strategy.
You're not telling me, Phil, that 80% of your portfolio worth $100,000 is all Byron Buxton? That's not what you're saying right here?
Yeah, not even close. Not even close. Yeah, there's two things that are wrong with that. There's risk to that underlying player, just too unproven, not on a Hall of Fame track of any kind. I think he's only played in 131 games. That was like the most he's ever played in one season. That wasn't since like 2015 or 17. I could be getting him confused with somebody, I forget. But and then you also have concentration risk if you put that much money in any one player, even if it is like a Mike Trout or Mookie Betts.
Yeah, that's me. I have
That's why I
way
brought it
too
up.
much money in Mookie Betts right now, but it's okay. It's one of those things. I always tell my wife, if those cards went to $0, even though I paid a lot more than $0, I'd be okay with it. That's like the part of the hobby I love. But Phil, don't be so humble. You kicked my trash, man. You almost doubled my profit. That Byron Buxton pick, I did not think would pan out at all when you picked it, to be honest with you. And you obviously saw something that I and a lot of people on here that watched did not see coming. I'm proud of my Vlad pick. I just wish I would have picked up something more rare, because like you said, only in the last few days, they've gone really from $65 to about $80. It's been a really recent move because the market is finally drying up on those low price. People just wanted to get out of them. But I wish I would have gotten like a nice numbered refractor at a Topps Chrome if there would have been one for $50 versus the $40 no number. But overall, I'm happy with it. It was really interesting to actually do this. It's nice we both made money, but it was an interesting thing to see because the market is really reactionary, but that only really applies to rare cards. A lot of these other cards that have a ton of them out there, they're really not going to move very quickly at all. Like, all the PSA 10 Acuna updates, Acuna was fantastic and his cards didn't really move. But if you look at his bat down, like the bat down series 2, that was a PSA 10, those have been crazy. So that's kind of something I learned doing this.
Yeah, for sure. If we were to do this across more money, $500, then we'd be able to invest in more rare cards. If you pay more for a player, then there's more leverage there. So if you are picking a risky player like Luis Castillo, if I had gone with the black parallel, then there'd be a lot more downside risk with that pick too. So you kind of have to balance the two, how rare the card is and how much you actually want to allocate into that player across the total pool of what you want to spend.
Totally. And for me, on my picks, just to justify some of the bad picks I made, I picked some players that I knew I wouldn't lose money on. I knew that $10 was basically a lock at $10. And then I took a couple of Hail Marys with the Vlad. And I think the story, I just wanted the story for my PC. So I knew they were undervalued going into this competition. But that was one. Phil sold his cards and actually got a higher profit. I should have listed mine and sold them along the way as well. But I get too attached to cards, man. I have a hard time moving cards that are valuable. I always hold them too long, but that's okay. That's part of the hobby.
Yeah, the way I see it is I don't care how I felt about the player and the purchase when I made it. If that card, if that player doubles in value over a week or 2 weeks, I'm usually going to sell, especially if he triples. The only exception would be if what I purchased was massively undervalued. And if I thought the market value was double the whole time and I want to kind of, do even better from there. But yeah, I mean, I think there's certain purchases, the Trevor Story, the gold parallel there. He's not one that's killed it. I know his expected stats are very good. I know he's probably picked it up lately, but it's sort of like with Christian Yelich. we made the money on the way in. You know, we made the money on the purchase because it was such a smart purchase. And I knew right away that story. Like, I mean, you paid like what, like $5 or $6 more than what I paid for Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
It was just like a slam dunk purchase. Like
From the same year, same set, same everything.
Yeah. It was a fun time. It was certainly a fun time, and hope we can do something like this again.
Totally. It would be fun. And I have to convince my wife, because she probably wouldn't think it's very fun to do a $500 competition over a year. Because I think we really could make some really good picks. But that's one I need to either sell some stuff to do that or just convince her. But we'll see how that goes. But Phil, thank you for doing this with me, man. It was a blast. I would recommend, if you guys ever want to just learn how to like kind of make money in cards, it kind of takes a little bit of money of trying. I remember when I first got into the hobby, I made some really bad picks, but those other picks that were good and the bad picks I made kind of taught me how to do this in the hobby. So just look at it sometimes as fun, kind of like penny stocks. If one takes off, that's great, but don't put all your chickens in one basket where you're going to lose some serious money on a really risky player is my only advice.
Yeah. So. I mean, and a lot of the times timing's everything. So one of the things that I thought would be possibly my crutch was that we saw what happened with basketball in January, where once the season started, we saw, oh, wow, the values were obviously very inflated because that first few weeks of season play, all the players started tanking, even the ones that were performing well. So that was sort of a risk with me taking a lot of guys that, unlike you, were very much less established. Nobody's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. You could maybe argue Christian Yelich, the other guys certainly not. And I was thinking that, a lot of the times, like the market factor will actually affect your portfolio more than the player factor itself. So that's something that was on the back of my mind. And I'm like, ooh, if this happens, then this is an easy win for Scott. Going back to, he actually won because he assumed a lot less risk. And I have a core of Yelich. That was 25% of my portfolio, like one that, this is going to go down more than like 20%. You were thinking about that across the various picks of yours.
Yeah. Well, Phil, thanks. Congratulations on the win. I don't have to send you a reward because you made $100. So that's great. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. And hopefully me and Phil can do something like this in the future. So stay tuned. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Take care.